Okay, we're good to go.
All right. I'd like to call the February 18th, LaPorte County Regional Sewer and Water District meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. All right, roll call. Jennifer.
Because right now, it's right by the over.
Tony,
Present.
You can take that.
I was gonna have them
John Carr,
Here.
by the over.
Marcella, here,
Morrison.
Mitch,
Here.
Mark Danielson,
Yes.
Delia,
Present.
All right.
Jerry,
Present.
everyone's here.
I agree, we got a quorum. Did everybody get to review the January 21st? If so, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Going down, public comments. Just want to give a statement regarding public comments before we start. That please state your name and your address, and your time is limited to 3 minutes. So with that, any public comments?
Kevin Flaherty, 7845 East Point Road. And when does my time start?
No, right now.
All right. I spoke last about the Hudson Lake Sewer Project. Did some research based upon what I walked away with last meeting. You were in the first quarter. After talking Ken Jones, JPR, apparently he's done a substantive amount of work. He has gotten to the point where he needs an economic impact study the last quarter, and at that point he could apply for funding and execution. Under the idea of funding, currently Indiana Finance Authority and USDA Rural Utility Program has funding about 1 point plus. So as a result, based upon what I'm seeing, I was told this thing has been new and fresh. It's been around for about 6 years. So there are a lot of folks on the lake who are starting to wonder where this project's going, or if it's going anywhere. Why is it relevant? Densely populated area, old homes, low-lying areas, homes in floodplains. So what's at risk? Wells, groundwater, and the lake itself. So we have, as a group, we've been discussing how do we help move this along and help you get to where we need to be. With the age of the homes and the age of the septics, it's not if, but when these septics start to leach into the lake and some of the other water areas. So as a result, what we're looking at is a group of homes, not only as more what we would call refugees from Illinois move into the area. It was an area built where they were basically weekend warriors and summer homes, which are now becoming full-time residents. And I'm fairly certain that when these septics were put in, that kind of living stress was not contemplated in the installations of these wells. So there is a group. What do we need to do? Is it petitions? How do we push this along? Clearly, Ken has done the heavy lifting, and there's something in front of somebody to review. There is funding, which we're never going to see cheaper. We've got 10-year treasury bills that are the highest since February 2020. Cost of the project is only getting greater, and now is the time. And by the way, I will finish with, you had a House bill in 2020, I believe it was 1154, where on a statewide, there would be a statewide requirement for septic inspections for any property transfers. What does that mean? That means now there's going to be more competition on a state level versus just in LaPorte County, competing not only for resources, but for the funding. interesting about the area economically, if you evaluate it, there's some low-income people where there may be forgiveness of debt as a result of some of these programs based upon the economics of the community and area. Really interesting, foreseeable opportunity, not very difficult to execute on, and probably the greatest funding opportunity in this country right now when the country is focusing on ESP. We're looking at environment, social, and corporate governance, and we're right in the environmental portion right now. Spot on.
Thank you, Kevin. Your 3 minutes up.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comment.
I only get 3 minutes?
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
It's quick.
Yeah, you did a great job, though.
You owe me 3 minutes next time then. So,
All right.
yeah, all right. All right, but wait. I got one last question. Just like, when I'm in the House and I'm getting grilled by Nancy Pelosi. Is there value in this, bringing these issues, or is this a non-starter where it just gets kicked and nothing? Is there a way to put an ad hoc group together and help you folks move this along? There's a lot of moving parts and I went to Notre Dame, okay? Don't hold it against me. But I use things in terms of football. We need a coach to kind of move it along, or a line coach or the quarterback coach to help you guys get this thing going in some direction.
Yeah, we're well aware of the capability out there and the project and what we can and cannot do. That's definitely something that's on our radar and something we want to pursue in the future.
Yeah, I think your group needs to work with JPR and you guys come make a presentation to the board. We'll be happy to take a look at it as a board.
He did. I talked to him. And in fact, we've offered.
Yeah, but there was a lot of people that weren't interested when that happened.
But this is a health issue. Remember, not a populist issue. It's a pollution issue. Okay?
Yeah, we know it's a health issue. We know there's a lot of septic problems out there. I'm aware of it.
Okay.
The health department, and yes, property transfer was for that reason. Why is that we can locate all the the septic failures in the county. So that was one of the tools why it was written, as passed by the commissioners. So I think Barry, help me out here if I'm not wrong. I think that their team and Ken need to come to us and basically move forward on this project. I mean, we're not going to.
Well,
we're going to initiate it.
Mr. Flaherty, I can't speak for the board. All I can tell you is we did have meetings and discussions with the residents out there. And I have to tell you that you're right. This isn't a popularity contest. But on the other hand, I would think it was safe to say that based on the public comment, the public feedback, the number of bodies we had, we even had kind of people show up en masse when Hudson and Saugatuck Lake weren't on the agenda, meaning we would be talking about the Rolling Prairie extension and we would have dozens of people show up to remonstrate all against. I mean, there would be a few like yourselves who were there in favor, but we as a board, only have a limited amount of time and priorities. It's a volunteer board. We now have at least a part-time executive director. We didn't back then. But again, we only have the ability to take on so many projects, and the Rolling Prairie Phase 2 turned out to be a much greater project and much more work than we thought. And I have no doubt of the necessity in Hudson and Saugatuck Lake. But I will tell you, it is a ton of work. From the financing, from the bonds, from the project itself, from the bidding. I mean, it is a huge project and far, far bigger in scope. And again, people like Ken and Jerry are much smarter about that. But I think the project is multiples larger than the Rolling Prairie project. So in terms of how to get it off the beam, I mean, I think you've got to get some measure, even though it's not a popularity contest, there's got to be some measure of community support, and probably both Saugatuck and Hudson Lake support in favor of it. And we honestly did not get that feeling as a board. And if any of the board members who were there at the time want to chime in and correct me, I'm happy to be corrected. But I was sitting there and I did not get the sense, we're never going to get, unanimous support, but I didn't even get the sense that there was necessarily a majority of support for the project. And again, it's not a popularity contest. That's correct. But if we get the public, I mean, ultimately, we serve the public. If the public shows up en masse and seems to overwhelmingly, or at least a majority, say, we don't want this project, and we had other things to do, like Rolling Prairie and the toll plaza, we kind of threw our efforts into those victories we could get, Mr. Flaherty, if that makes sense to you. So,
Can I make one comment? Just bear with me. I'm a retired real estate lawyer and attorney, okay? There was one defect in your ordinance, okay? The defect is there is no sunrise, I should say sunset. If in fact, and I'll tell you how this should, or in my humble opinion, could have come to its own conclusion. If there was every 2 to 3 years, someone has to have their septic analyzed and has to be signed off by an engineer that is code compliant, notwithstanding somebody's personal view, the fact that they would have to be compliant would give them one of two choices. Either install a brand new septic or look to the, I would call the more efficient alternative, which is the sewers. So by what you're using your premise, there's absolutely no incentive for anyone who's lived out there for a lot of years, who are comfortable with where they're at, maybe polluting. And by the way, you will never know they were polluting or they had a defective sewer or septic unless it's open and notorious, or there is a situation where the property then has to be transferred, in which case, similar to the Indiana ordinance, you will have to have someone sign off that your septic is compliant. So while we are silent, we have septics which are in fact polluting. And again, I'm looking at the area and have done a visual, the age of some of those buildings, I've got to assume are probably at this point non-compliant, because some of these buildings have been there since the Depression. So the idea that the public isn't buying in, there's no incentive for some to buy in, other than the folks who have a real stakehold in one, keeping the lake, I would say, clean and in a good condition. So folks who are active, proactive stakeholders are the ones who are concerned. The other ones are getting a pass simply because, one, there's no ordinance to force compliance. And so as a result, why would they buy in?
Thank you, Kevin, board president. We really got to move on. Well, I think you need to bring this to the board and we can have a longer discussion. This isn't really 15-minute public comment.
Yeah, let me make one comment, Mitch. It's basically the property ordinance was the health department. It's not a sewer district ordinance, okay? So that property transfer came from the health department. Sewer district had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Also with that is that the state of Indiana does not have a property transfer ordinance. We're only one of the few counties that have, actually, we were the first county that.
2020 HB 1154 is in front of your assembly. Don't know if it was passed or not, but it was something that was
It
floated.
was never passed.
Okay.
Yeah, it was never passed. They tried to, because if they did, they saw what we were doing here in LaPorte. So other counties tried to do that, then what to do, the state tried to, they used us is what they basically did. They used our health department, the LaPorte County Health Department, basically wanted to make it statewide, but that never happened. So when that property transfer, there's only a few counties that do it. We were one of the first. Ours is probably the strictest one when it comes to selling homes. So, okay, I'm done.
Any more public comments? If so, state your name and address, and please limit it to 3 minutes.
Hello. Michael Streeter, 4848 North, 425 East, Rolling Prairie. I was around when they did the first phase 1, and when they talked about phase 2. Now, it was my understanding originally phase 2 would go along Ludlow Street, and anyone north of Ludlow on 425 that had a county address wasn't going to be required to tie in. Now, it's kind of my understanding that that's not the situation.
Ludlow's in the north part of Rolling Prairie.
Yeah.
Is anybody?
Dan, can you answer his question?
Yeah, Dan.
Dan?
Well, actually, this is just
Public comment.
public comment, so you can finish. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead and finish.
go ahead and finish.
Michael.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's my first concern is that my understanding years ago, like I say, when phase one, when phase two was talked about, that the homes heading north towards the toll road plaza would not be required to tie in, but I'm asking, is that situation changed now? Now we will be required to tie in
That's,
on 425 East?
425. I don't think we went up
We
425.
didn't go 425 east.
I don't know, maybe Dan would know.
Dan, you know, I mean, we don't have the prints in front. We can look into that for you for the next meeting, but you're asking us, I know Ken's
I thought
here.
that was the cutoff as Ludlow on the north
Yeah.
side of town.
Okay, that's what I thought, but we received the pamphlet in the mail. I don't know if you can see it.
It's 4,
Yeah, we know what the pamphlet is. What is your address?
What's your address?
48.
48 north, 425 east.
Could you also give us your phone number, so if we have to
Yeah.
call you, we can get back to you?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think
Uh,
go ahead.
I talked to Jennifer on Friday.
Yeah,
Do you want me to give it again? That's fine. 219-379-4682.
I'll double check it for you.
I didn't think so. But
I don't remember.
I'm only 90%.
Okay.
And
All right.
also my parents live next door at 4833. I was curious about that too.
Yeah.
I think we go north up to 4915. There was a dispute there on the location of a septic on someone else's property. And I think that's how we wound up going that far north. So I think we go up the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots on the east side.
That is correct. That is correct, Jerry.
Okay.
Only on the east side of the road, nothing on the west?
No, but I just counted 6 because that was an easy side. We would serve both sides of the road on that far out.
I'm trying to get the prints pulled up, but I'm having some trouble with. I was going to screen share showing the limits of what's being served. But naturally, the internet doesn't work.
I believe you are in it, but I do have your email address because I sent you the Zoom notice. So I will get with Dan too, and we'll get
Double check that.
the area and send it to you.
Actually, it looks like I've got it here. If you want to hang for a couple more seconds.
Sure.
Well, we kind of need to move along. This is the public comments and
This is the public
3 minutes is up.
Yeah.
So we'll get that information to
Okay,
you.
we'll get that to you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Any other comments?
From the
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Other comments?
Sorry, I muted. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, public comment is closed. Reports. Steve, claims and finance.
So for the month of January, hopefully you'll have financials in front of you. For the Rolling Prairie service area, we received $3,816.56. We had disbursements of $4,641.31. Interest income of $1.26. And a reimbursement back to the rolling, or the toll road of $57,128.10. Ending balance of $31,924.11, all in the operating fund currently. For the toll road, we had the deposit of $57,128.10. Disbursements of $27,717.39. Interest income from the Hoosier Fund of $65.13. I feel a little bit of that might have been from Verizon as well. For a ending balance of $324,633.91. Of that amount, $250,274.21 is in the improvement fund, sitting in the account at Hoosier Fund. And remaining balance of $74,359.70 is in Horizon Bank and an operating fund. Also have claims for approval. They're been presented in the amount of $20,896.26.
Thank you. That completes it, right?
Say that again?
That completes the report?
Yes.
Okay. I need a motion. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the claims.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Say aye.
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 Passes. All right. Next up, Ashbury, regarding the Peerless check valve update and heaters at the water plant. Is Chris, you're on, right?
Yeah, this is Chris.
What do you got for us?
They completed the work, but they still need to replace the backflow preventer at the waste treatment plant. I asked Matt from DA Dodd to forward a quote to replace that backflow preventer.
Okay, that's what we had. They were there at the last meeting, right, when they were doing the work?
Correct.
I think during the meeting. Yeah, I haven't received anything from them. Did anybody?
I haven't received anything.
Yeah, Chris, you didn't receive
You
anything?
did that?
I did not.
Okay. Maybe if you can follow up, or I can try to follow up. Of course, I was out for a little bit, but I have not received anything about that.
Okay. I'll call DA Dodd and see if I can get them to.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
I had that down on my list later under old business. Peerless, any follow-up with them yet? Have they updated any information
No.
with you yet? Still researching?
No follow-up.
Okay. And then, let's see. And then, and it was in Asbury's report too, the heaters, Chris, if you want to explain to them what you had to do and.
With regard to what?
The heaters, I'm sorry.
Oh, I noticed one day when it was the coldest that only one of the heaters was functioning. I turned up the thermostat on the other three and they didn't come on. So we called Maple City Mechanical, and they came out and cleaned the sparkers up and replaced a fuse. And there's still another part that they're supposed to send a quote for the repair on the 4th.
So they got two out of the three running. But
right. Well, no, yeah. The one was running, so we got 3 actually functioning now, and still one more a part to change on the 4th.
And I haven't received a quote yet from them or anything, so we're waiting on that.
Yeah, so we don't need, there's no motion needed, no action.
No, I don't think so. We haven't received anything. He's just giving you the update.
Okay.
And then I think I don't remember if we reported, but he had a snow plow come out and do a plow. And did you get another one this week? I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah. So that was the second time.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
That brings us to JPR. Speaking about building collections in Rolling Prairie.
Yeah, I am sad to announce that the liens have technically still not been filed. Having a couple of issues with the recorders, and they have been returned twice. Third time is a charm, I hope, and let's just say,
There's Ken. Sorry, Ken.
we hope that it will get in there this time. And
Did they say specifically what the issue was?
yeah, and the one time they did, and we changed it, which is, I think, how they are interpreting Indiana code. And I never have done it to any of my other liens in all the other counties I've ever filed for 12 years or more. And then we sent it back in and they wanted something else, which is the same. And then we called and actually got a third person. They said it was fine, so we're sending them back in the third time. And this isn't even getting to the actual auditor. So we're hoping that this will.
Yeah, I'll speak to them as well. I deal a lot with the reporters and the planner and see what I can help, if any.
And Jennifer, if you want to bring me in on it, I've had my fair share of documents rejected over the years. It's just periodically just happens. And so if you seem to reach an impasse, I suspect Mitch will have a little more effectiveness, but if not, I'm happy to dive in.
Yeah, I'm just not sure, what the hang up is on this.
They also got a new recorder, so that could.
Well, she wasn't even aware of it. It didn't get to her.
Okay.
It did on the phone call. So I think hopefully it's taken care of. Third time's a charm.
Jennifer, this is Mark. You might want to keep the president and Barry available on who the third person is, and then we'll see where that goes, and at least they know who you talked to the first, the second, and maybe the third time. And hopefully this is third time's a charm, like you said. Okay?
Right. Yep, exactly.
That would help. Thanks, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right?
That is it. Thank you.
Okay. Phase 2 update. Rolling Prairie Phase 2 update. Dan, what can you share with us?
Yep. Yeah, no problem. Well, as you guys are, I'm sure aware, there's a bunch of snow out there. So Woodruff and Sons is really ready to start rolling as soon as the weather allows them to. Looks like there should be a let up in the weather here in the next couple weeks, and they can get going. I just looked at it, and they are still on track to finish mid-August based on the schedule they provided to us at the pre-construction meeting. So they're going to be looking at having materials delivered next week. As far as sequencing of the work, Kyle with Woodruff has told me they're going to start on Ludlow Street. Then they're going to do the small section on Michigan Street, and then move to the Oakdale and East Rolling Drive sections. So they're doing those because those sections are out of the roadway surface.
Okay, so they're basically starting from the north and moving to the south.
And they're doing that because they don't have to disturb the roadway in those sections in order to make these improvements. So they don't have to do temporary patching. Also wanted to update the board on what we'll be doing with our staking as our crews do construction staking for Woodruff in advance of their work. Our survey crews are going to be staking out the location of each property owner's service lateral at the right-of-way line and providing each property owner with a letter that is stating that said stake is the location of their lateral. They're doing this in order to start some conversation with each property owner prior to the installation of the laterals so that we can get these put in a location that will facilitate an easy connection for each homeowner, basically so that we don't have a clean out installed on the ground and then have someone go, well, I can't make that work. This has all already been looked at in design, so I'm not seeing many issues with this as we go through, but wanted to be open and provide the property owners with this communication in advance of the work. We're going to put Josh Thomas, the project inspector's contact information down there on that letter. So they'll reach out to Josh if they have an issue with the location of their lateral, and we'll work through it with Woodruff to get it relocated if necessary.
All right, yeah, thanks. There was a couple issues over phase one where it took like a precarious route, which didn't make any sense, and we want to avoid those situations. That's a good, double check, I guess.
Yep, that's exactly the way we're doing this.
Do we have any way to document that the homeowner responded, or I don't know. I just like to have some ammunition when the inevitable homeowner shows up and says, "Hey, you put it in the wrong spot."
Josh Thomas, who's going to be doing the inspecting, is on with us. They sent him the Zoom invite so we could kind of introduce him. And Josh, if you want to talk, and that type of stuff, I think would be in his daily reports where we could keep track of that along with the spreadsheet and information that I would be keeping track of. Josh?
Sure. And we can certainly, if we receive correspondence from a property owner relative to that location, we can certainly keep that in a separate file, easily accessible if there is some contention on that. Generally, what I see in a project like this is the laterals might be on the wrong side of the house, like we show it on the north side of the house, when actually, connection would be a better facilitation on the south side of the property. So more often than not, it's moving, that lateral along the right-of-way line. Generally, that's the only issue we see in that sort of stuff.
Also, with the packets going out, we have that information hopefully coming back, and I'll be scanning that information into the server where Josh and Dan both can be reviewing that information.
Are you okay with that, Jerry?
Yeah, I think that's okay. I don't.
Do you have any other suggestions, Jerry?
Not really.
Are we door to door?
So we are. This is Ken. Are we? We're leaving a notice stuck in their door as the staking is done.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So, and then they're also getting this mailer directly from the district. That's going to arrive in their mailbox, and then of course we will have Josh Thomas out there in a van with our company name emblazoned down the side of it. And now that he's got that fancy new haircut, people will really want to talk to him. They won't be scared of him anymore. So actually, Josh is the reason we put Josh on this project, by the way, for the board's information, is he's the expert at communication with property owners, and if he can't get it done, it can't get done. So
Glad you put your best man on the job there, Ken.
we did. From a communication standpoint, Josh is the best we have.
Good. Well, welcome, Josh.
Hey, happy to be here. Yeah, always happy to get a pat on the back from Ken like that.
And I just love the haircut. It's great.
I'm trying to catch up with you on gray there. I got a ways to go.
You're doing pretty good.
It's not gray, it's Arctic silver.
There you go. There you go. I like it. I like it.
Hey, I heard that gray's the new blonde.
There we go.
I don't think women subscribe to that.
Okay.
Let's move on. New business. Looks like we got a next meeting, March 18th, 9 a.m. Is that
I'm
what for
fine
everybody?
with that.
Month from today?
I'm fine with that.
Well, that's fine, yeah. Okay, good. Indiana 811, our locates.
Yep.
We had some quotes.
Well, I got one.
Got one now.
Yeah, I contacted the other two names that I received. The one was a little confused. And then the other one passed me off to supervisor, and then that person said he would get back to me with some more information. I haven't received anything as of yet. So.
I found them the one we got, I found it rather expensive. I mean, we had about 100 of them recently within the next 6 months, and we're like $75, $80.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we keep looking. I don't.
Jerry maybe, he offered up his services to go. Yeah, we probably should get, I feel we should get a couple more, but that's board's pleasure. I think we need more than one. I thought, I was just surprised. I don't have much, I have a little experience with it, but my last project, I think we were paying around like 55 in that area. And this was 75, right? I didn't print it out, but it seemed a little high. We only had one quote, so I recommend we get a couple others.
I didn't think LaPorte would be cost effective in doing it because we'd have an hour and a half, 2 hours just to do a single locate. And I really don't have the manpower to do it. But we'd be more cost effective than them, I think, than at 75. So that seems a little high for me.
Well, shouldn't we still try to get a couple more prices?
Yeah. I can certainly do that. I keep trying.
These are the guys I understand that are locating for NIPSCO. And so they're out there whether we're paying them or not.
They're kind of double dipping. If you want to look at it like that.
Well, they're doing it on a per notification, so it's not a time, it's a notification, so they're getting paid, whether it takes them 2 minutes or 2 hours. So certainly I can continue. Try to find some more and reach out to the other one that didn't reply yet and see if I can get a response.
Yeah, appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, moving on.
The interim rates, we were gonna, I think, review that again. Again, this meeting, we were talking, last month, we were discussing, not doing the interim rates. And then I don't know if we finished, we said we were gonna bring it back up. One of the other things that I had thought about, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned to Barry and also to Mitch, was that we are in a situation where the phase one customers, property owners that did not connect, technically already are in a position to connect at any time. And we would not have to wait to the end of the construction and give them notice to proceed. We could give them notice to proceed or for connection at any time.
Yeah, there was an email, I think Barry and Jerry and I had a conversation kind of, is phase one compelled to hook up because of phase two? Because we basically utilize the money, utilize the grant and loan. Because that money touches, phase two touches phase one, they're required or compelled to hook up? Is there something?
Because they're required, weren't they, Barry? I thought that one was the agreement that they would all hook up.
Yeah, I didn't pull out the documents, and Ken, for better or worse, was a little more intimately involved with dealing with the state. But I don't know, I mean, it was part of our agreement with the state that we would require not only mandatory hookup in phase 2, but mandatory hookup of those in phase 1.
I knew phase 2, I didn't know about 1.
Yeah, there's one, too, there was one, yeah. That was one of the agreements we had to decide, because we talked about how initially the council didn't want, with county council, didn't want everybody to hook up. It wasn't mandatory, it was voluntary. But I remember when they given us the money to state, we agreed that we would make everybody in phase 1 hook up too.
And it's important to remember that the rate that is set to pay the debt includes 100% of property owners in the Rolling Prairie service area. That's to phase 1 and phase 2. So that is, if nothing else, that is the agreement that binds the district.
You know, I think I knew that, Ken. It's just been a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been.
So, yeah, sorry, but painful sometimes.
But we need to get letters out to everybody in phase 1 that haven't connected.
Start building almost like
Right.
this too.
Well, I think, you know, and we do have, the board needs to make a decision, and we need to get, you know.
Well, the interim rate for the time being, which should be like.
Right, and Steve, did you get my email about interim rate?
I got it late last night.
I'm sorry, yeah.
No, that's fine. I didn't have a chance to look into what you were saying, but I think it certainly could be calculated fairly quickly what that interim would be.
And Jennifer and the board, I think there are two different issues. One issue is the interim rate, and that's a board decision after Steve and Jennifer come up with some figures. But I think to Marcy's point, it may not be a bad idea, Jennifer. I mean, we obviously gave notice to the phase 2 folks. We sent them a packet. If we develop some type of notification, since it's now been, I don't know how many years since phase 1 they got their initial notices, but we may want to develop some type of unified mailing to send to the phase 1 folks that haven't connected.
Because your rate is also going up, if I'm not mistaken.
From 72 to 78.
Correct. And that's for the whole district, correct. But it's not so much notification about that. We certainly have public notices and publication notices, and we certainly try to do our best notifying all of the residents of LaPorte County about that. But I just think if we want them to hook up, we probably need to send them something that says, hey, you didn't hook up in phase 1. We're now in phase 2. Part of our ordinance, part of our financing package requires mandatory hookup now in phase 1, unless, of course, you've got one of the statutory exceptions. But I think that's a different issue than the interim rate, which is completely a board decision. But I just think it'd be prudent to give notices to these folks. Otherwise, they're not going to know that they're required.
And I don't believe we have any of those exceptions. Septic, you know, what is it, over to 10 years?
Well, there was the one where if it got inspected and it passed, if they installed it within the first 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
First 5 years, then they had another inspection.
And then one another 5.
10 years.
Yeah.
Do we have one like that?
Yeah, we did.
We did have one?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah. We had one that they had a septic installed, phase 1, of course, and of course they did the septic inspection. It's fine. So they were exempt for 5 years.
But then they have to get re-inspected.
Then they have to get it re-inspected again.
Yeah.
And then after 10 years, they'll get inspected. And after that, 3 times, then they have to hook up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that information on who that is.
But, yeah, go ahead, man. Wait.
I think once the system reaches 20 years.
20 years.
Years old period, regardless if it's where it is at that.
Horizon, yeah.
That horizon, once it reaches 20 years period, it has to.
Yes, so it is 20 years. That's Amanda talk, and she's going to be taking over my position. She's way over there, so I can't get the camera on her. But yeah, it was only 20 years, I believe. An inspection, then another inspection, and then I think 3 inspections, I believe. We'll have to look up the verbiage on it, but yeah, there is an exemption.
Yeah, there is. It was in that, I think it's in that packet.
It's actually an Indiana statute too, I believe.
But they would have to provide evidence, correct?
Yeah, we get that, the health department will get the report.
Okay.
We just gotta pay attention, that's how we got it last time, because we had the property transfer, and then, the report was brought to us, and they were exempt from hooking up. But then they know, we have to notify them that, they have to get another inspection again. Go ahead.
The Indiana code requires that it's an IOPA
Yeah,
inspection, IOPA certified inspector.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
did you guys get that?
IOPA certified.
It's not just anybody that can do the septic inspection, it has to be an IOPA certified person that does it.
Not a regular septic inspection.
Yeah, this person has to be certified to do the inspection. That's what our office does on these property transfers, that the inspectors are all certified. We just don't let anybody do the inspection.
So regarding interim, and I agree, there's kind of two issues there, Barry. Regarding interim rates, that's something we could have maybe a motion to table to next meeting.
Yeah, I don't think you need a motion necessarily, because I think you can just table it without a motion after Steve comes back with rates, and maybe Steve and Jennifer circulate them to the board. I think you'll be in a better position to know, particularly for the phase one folks, that you can start right away how much money that would generate, what the rate would be. But I just want to make sure we're following up. I just think maybe, and I'm happy to talk to Jennifer about it, although really Jennifer and JPR's kind of taking the lead in terms of reaching out to individuals, but we ought to develop something for these phase one folks, and maybe even have whatever Josh is providing in terms of kind of being a public face and a good ear. We ought to broaden that to the extent that it's not outside the scope of work with JPR, but we ought to broaden that to include the phase one folks. In other words, they ought to have the same kind of one-on-one contact ability that the folks in phase two do.
I understand what you're saying. I think there's value there.
I'm not
Especially
sure with what Josh is doing that would play out, would it? Because the phase one.
He's only gonna do it in phase two, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because the phase one is already all installed.
It's all half installed.
Or probably needs to make a decision, maybe today, maybe next month, on when to start billing those customers, those phase one customers, because technically you can start billing them once they have notice to connect.
Right. And that was.
And I can work on a letter, Barry, and then send it over to you for review regarding the phase one people and.
That makes sense. Yeah, Marcella.
And although this is I'm sure not the most favorable conversation with the interim rate, I think it's something that is necessary, and we really probably better be ready to make a decision in March, because we are moving forward and our funding, it's important that we have in place. So just my opinion.
I agree, and I think Steve will have those numbers for us to see what exactly we're looking at.
And Mitch, I know we got to get out of the meeting, but one more thing, we're going to need to decide, and Jennifer would need to know, I'm trying to remember back when I first joined, I think the board for phase two, and I think originally in phase one, you waived some of the fees for people to hook up.
Absolutely.
And so I think the board needs to make a decision now that we've kind of reopened phase one again. Do you want to give them some type of break, or do you want to take the position, hey, we gave you the break, you didn't take it back then, that ship has sailed? And again, I don't know whether you need that decision today, but I do think there needs to be a board decision about that topic.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We can do that all, I guess.
Yeah.
We can take care of it all next month after Steve gives us the rates about the interim, and we can discuss free tabs or possibility of free tabs.
And we can discuss that in that executive committee.
Oh, yeah, executive committee.
We formed, but unfortunately, and I apologize, due to my surgery, I didn't get anything scheduled, and that was my fault. But I will get something, and we will be meeting next week. So we'll get that moving.
And I can get a report maybe. Yes.
Or you can attend.
Yeah, or you can do that.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. The generator quote. That's.
Oh, that was H and
Yeah, that's for the shield.
H and G was where we got the quote from. Jerry got an unsolicited, generator maintenance quote.
Maintenance, okay. That's
And
amazing.
that was just essentially a renewal for the contract we awarded last year.
Yeah, everybody get a chance to review that? That's something we can take care of today, I think.
Well,
Mitch,
Mike,
I don't know whether you're gonna ask the board to vote on it or whatnot, but if you wanna make if that's what's on the agenda, perhaps make it subject to my review, because there are a few things in there I didn't love. I mean, at the end of the day, maybe they slipped it through the first go round, and none of them are deal breaker type of things. Like I would say, don't sign it, but there are a few things I might want to tinker with.
I agree, and it seems like, didn't we sign this, and then when we needed something done, we got that huge repair, and then we got another quote, and we had someone else do the repairs, and maybe we need to go out and get some new proposals. I mean, I think it's a good idea that if we're gonna do this, we should go out and get 3 quotes
That's fine.
for maintenance again this year, just to I mean, we just had someone else doing the repairs.
Yeah, remember last year we got Marquez and a couple others.
Yeah, I just think, we need to look at it, because if we have a repair and they're not the cheapest, maybe we need someone, just to look at the whole round package.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Each solicit get a couple other quotes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just to get some more quotes, and let's let Barry take his time and
That's fine.
review it as well.
Jennifer, could you check and see when the last contract was signed? It doesn't seem like, to me, it doesn't seem like a year, but
No,
I haven't tracked it down.
It seems like when I first came on the board or something, you guys were doing that, and that hasn't been a year, so.
And again, Jennifer, you need some help with the getting a second, third, or fourth quote. We have members on the board that can help you with that.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
And our current provider, when is their contract terminate, or when is the original contract terminate?
Well, that's what I would look up, because I think it's them, but, then when I called them about, why isn't this covered under your maintenance contract, it was like none of it did. That's why we were all a little confused.
Yeah, that was when we were talking about the belt replacement.
Right, exactly.
It seemed like, to me, that seemed like regular maintenance on a generator, but.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, I can call around to help you.
Okay.
All right, moving on, use ordinance, preparing,
A use ordinance that just falls into the committees, and Barry and I getting together and throwing that draft together. So we kind of talked that I just am keeping it on there so that you guys are aware of it.
all right. So you guys haven't really met, you haven't met yet then concerning that, Barry?
No, and I apologize, that's already,
You got,
I was a little lazy.
rotator cuff there.
Yeah.
And then we spoke about this earlier somewhat, but packets for property owners.
Yep.
They've been mailed.
Yep, they were
Okay.
mailed.
I know I went to the commissioners this morning and I got a comment from someone, from an individual that had a bunch of concerns. I'm gonna have to address that later today. Have you received any comments?
I've had a few calls, basically just a couple of questions. Some people getting hung up on the eminent domain, taking over their property portion, which is just one little section on the URA brochure that we have to include. And I explained to them that doesn't apply.
It's just
It's just a standard requirement that has to go into the packet.
Yeah.
And then they're fine. Only had, I think, one lady yesterday, which I think is the same message you got this morning.
Yeah, Mario.
And that was upset. And with the common things about not knowing and never notified and all the normal information.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've gotten a handful just wanting to know when it's starting and different stuff, and that's about
I
it.
have received two, in fact, positive comments, I guess. A gentleman had a couple small children, and he wanted to remodel his house and build it, basically renovate it and put an addition on. And he was grateful that we were doing this because it gives him the opportunity to do that. There was no way he could put another restroom in, septic, and create another bedroom for his children. So it was good to have someone actually call me, talk positively.
Yeah, and I've gotten a few calls that are positive
That's
as
good.
well.
Yeah, we need to really get those.
Except for yesterday was the only time I got a negative one that
Don't get
was,
too many
you
of
know.
those. I didn't know how to react.
Yeah.
Yeah, just yesterday, so.
That's just my profession, I guess, so people only call me to complain. But, okay, so I guess that answers the package question.
Yep.
Any comments from the board? Otherwise, I'll move on. No? Okay. Jennifer and I went to the wastewater treatment plant after last board meeting, kind of assessed what needs to be done to potentially clean that up for a meeting space. There were a lot of desks, basically in the middle of the room. And we contacted Chris when we were up there and asked him, hey, what can we move? What can't we move? And probably over half the stuff we could pitch. And by doing that, we would have decent meeting space. And that's been discussed, and moving COVID surrenders and all this is put behind us, meeting out there monthly. That was definitely something that was talked about, and I think favorably by many of you and others from the county. So I guess the question is, I don't know, I got to put it to the board. We probably need a construction company, because some of those, although the desk and the paperwork in the middle can be removed, there's also desks that it seemed like they were screwed, I guess, into the drywall. So that would have to be removed, some of that, I feel. So we might have to get maybe a quote for some maybe demo. There might be some drywall work that may need to be patched when that is removed, and maybe some small painting. I don't think it's anything too excessive. But yeah, that's something we should probably investigate doing. Also, there was no internet connectivity. I looked at a price from Surfair Wireless, got a quote. It was, I think, $100 a month, but then I said, hey, we're only gonna be out there a day a week, a day a month or so. So we don't need anything that substantial. So there was a standby option where he would prorate us, so it would come out like $20, $25 a month. And then they would set up all their equipment to make that happen. I think it was 25. The speed, I think it's 25 or 50 megabytes per second, I believe it's. So fairly quick. Also, I have, and so will another board member, have a Wi-Fi, Amanda, that was brought up as a possibility. That would be actually free. And I think a good solution would be for myself and Jennifer to go out there with my Wi-Fi. And I think it's pretty decent. There's a tower
according to surf area, about an eighth of a mile away. And it should pick up, we should get fairly decent signal. And I don't even know, it might pick up the facilities at the toll road plaza as well. So you might not have to pay anything, is what I'm getting at on that. So that's the two kind of topics from my assessment and Jennifer's of that. I think we'll try the MiFi first and then see what kind of connectivity we got. But as far as, I guess, cleaning the facility and removing desks, I don't know, what's the board's pleasure on that? Any comment?
Well,
should we solicit quotes or what do you think?
Well, I'm trying to think, is this something that Ken could help us with, or is it I mean, if you're gonna have like one or two quotes, three quotes, it would be nice that you compare oranges to oranges, apples to apples, so that everybody is at least knowing what needs to be done and you get a competitive quote. So I guess the question is, how do you want to do that?
It's almost to the point, Mark, where we could call the guy on the corner with the pickup truck. I mean, I don't think any reputable construction company is going to want to deal with that. That's what I mean.
I'm not saying for us. What I'm saying
it's not a lot of work.
Not a lot of work. It's like a side job, probably.
Yeah, it'll be like a job.
It's a side job.
Somebody.
Is it just a bunch of desks piled in the center of the room?
It is, and then the two, on the two ends, side walls they're like built into the walls.
The north, there's a desk on the north side and the south. It looks like it's built into the walls. And then there's two or three larger desks in the middle, but they're also full paperwork.
Yeah,
but
Chris will clean that.
Chris was stating that
and he'll have
none of that is needed and it can be recycled.
Hey, Chris, is that your belongings there, or does that belong to the Indiana Toll Road Association that owned it before you guys? Or is that your guys?
It was the toll road. All the equipment in there is the toll roads.
The toll roads. So they don't obviously they don't want it.
Right. Yeah. It's yours now.
Yeah, it's ours now, but yeah.
There's also a bunch of lab equipment.
Yeah, there's a lot of lab equipment. I know we got rid of some of the hood and all that.
Yeah.
The hood ain't gonna be no
bunch
big
of beefers
to dump that.
and all that. There's a refrigerator as well.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is if we come up with a list of what you think needs to be done and look at it, and then because we're on a board, we probably should, just say, okay, hey, that's great. And then whoever we decide to do this, we should at least have a number in mind for that they don't go over, because I don't want any surprises that, okay, well, I went ahead and did this, and oh, by the way, this cost $20,000.
Personally, Mark, I think we could pay somebody, this should be able to get done for under $1,000.
Okay. But then we still should come up with a list of what we want us to do and how are we going to get rid of the trash and all that good stuff.
Agreed.
Hey, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Can I meet you out there and take a look?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whenever you feel better and you want to make a drive over there?
Yep. Whenever. We can set up a date next week if you want to do it. Any day, I should be open.
Do you want to take maybe the work committee? I don't know if that's proper.
Oh, yeah, the work committee.
Why don't the work committee go out there? That might be.
Let's do that.
Okay.
That's Jerry? That's Jerry and Marcelo?
Yeah. I would kind of like to look and see if there's any lab gear that I would feel bad if it got thrown in the dumpster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mark Danielson.
One question, the heat, electricity, who pays for that? We paying for that? Chris, Chris? Yeah, they're still, Chris is still there.
Yeah, we pay for that. That's
So we can.
on our
we get
budget.
an I&M bill that's,
I&M bill.
I'm assuming is included in
Is it?
electricity out there. For the building and for the plant, it's a couple thousand a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that bill covers the water plant, sewer plant, and the sewer building.
Oh.
The lab building.
All right.
Control building.
So Jennifer, we'll meet out there next week. Mark, if you're available too, me, you, Jerry, whoever wanted to be on the committee, let's meet out there and we'll get together and chat, and then we can take a look at the building.
Yeah, maybe I'll join you guys.
Yeah, and then I got one thing is that once this building's all together, there's about 2 filing cabinets, 6 boxes that are at the health department office, and it belongs to this district. Basically, the history of when this district started, it used to be Springfield.
Okay.
Regional, not regional, it was,
Tony, if you want to get those over there now, you can. Because we already talked to Chris and we know where we're gonna put them.
okay, so I'll have our maintenance guys take that out.
Yeah.
It's all.
I'm not gonna just put those on Mitch's desk then?
Yeah, well, it wasn't my desk. I mean, it wasn't my office.
He can't fit it on there, Jerry.
It wasn't my office because they had to make room for it, so now Amanda's taking over the office. I had to get it out of there. So it's kind of like, you need to get rid of this stuff, people. And it's the history of how the district started, from Springfield all the way up to everything's the history. So it's important that it stays there with district, not the.
Very good to have our records in one spot, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not all over the place.
Okay, so,
Hey, Mitch?
yeah.
Mitch, just a suggestion, after everybody goes out there and meets and you kind of figure out what needs to be done, you ought to then, whether we use that for monthly board meetings or not, it probably ought to be set up for meetings, because we might have to have a meeting with an owner, a meeting with a contractor, or a public meeting like for Hudson or Saguenay Lake, or so. If you're going to come back to the board with, hey, we want authorization up to X, I would recommend that X also include a conference table, chairs, whatever you think you need to make it a functional kind of satellite office for the district.
Right. I agree. I was just giving you what I thought the cost was, the demo.
Yeah, you got beer and cigars, I'll be all 10 meetings too, just for the hell of it.
Everybody gets
a beer though.
Everybody gets a humidor.
Humidor, cigars, beer. I might attend at that. Yeah. Just to say hi to you guys.
Bring back Tony. All right, ready to move on? Good. All right. New business board member compensation.
I put this on the agenda, because I know, we've been kind of throwing it around, so I went ahead and put it on the agenda. And I sent you an email regarding, various other districts and what they do. And I'm just wondering if we shouldn't start, compensating some of the members for their time and effort.
Well, I know in the past it was something that Tony and I, going back 3 years ago, and I know Ken mentioned it before, that other boards, in similar circumstances as ours, as regional sewer boards, the members do get paid. And what I put together 5 or 6 different ones. And I don't know, did it get solicited to everybody? All the board members? Or?
I emailed it.
Okay, you emailed it, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, roughly what the average was, somewhere between maybe $800 to $1,000 a year, I believe, somewhere around there.
But Mitch, do we hold the meeting then outside of normal business hours? Like it would be an evening meeting instead of during the day?
It'd have to be for county employees, if you're gonna have Mitch and Mary attended. And I don't know about Jerry, but.
Probably Jerry too, right?
Probably Jerry, you too. I don't think you can get paid when you're on city time. I know
That'd be frowned upon.
Yeah, it would be. It's double dipping. So basically that's why.
Yeah, it would have to be like a 4 o'clock.
It'd have to be after 4 o'clock if you had these meetings.
Like a 4
And I'm
for everybody.
I'm saying it just like that right away.
What's that, Mark?
The 4 o'clock meetings, I like it when we do it earlier in the morning, then I can time it around that. But that's just me.
Okay.
Personally, I'll do this because I can for no cost. But I want to see what's best for the board and what the group wants to do. Okay?
And kind of I guess it'd be put to the board to see what your opinions are.
Yeah, it's like any board. I'm on a couple of boards, but it's a stipend. I mean, you don't have to take it. I mean, I'm on a couple other boards and I didn't get paid for it because it's during the day. So that's just the way it was. I couldn't do anything about it.
Same thing with me, I never,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. We could keep the meetings in the morning and I could waive mine if, we'd have to talk that all over.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, Barry, are you in on that too? You're gonna waive your fee?
Oh, what guy?
Barry? Oh, my. He's gonna increase it.
I'm just kidding.
Mark, I think they'd throw me out of the bar association, honestly.
well, I guess at this point, it's something to think about.
Okay, well, I'll keep it on there for next month, and if anybody wants to continue talking or discussing it, we can leave it at that.
It works.
All right.
All right, old business. Gary Radke?
Huh?
No, Gary Radke.
Gary Radke.
We removed the solar panel presentation, correct? So,
Yeah, we tabled it tonight.
website update, Jennifer.
There's no real update at this point.
Okay, she was on there. I seen her.
Who?
That, when the meeting started, there was a Jennifer.
No, that's me,
There's
Jennifer.
another Jennifer.
No, that was the lady that was,
There was another Jennifer, man.
what's his face's wife.
Oh, okay, never mind. All right.
That Kevin's wife.
Oh, that's Kevin.
Mhm.
All right, DA Dodd repairs.
We already
We
talked
picked about that, and we talked about generator repairs, didn't we?
Well, we have the one email we got, with the update for the generator repairs from H&T. Basically, they had to wait for some parts to come in, and they have them in now. They sent an email update February 10th, and it looks like because of the weather, they're looking to come out the week of February 22nd.
February 22nd.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Mitch,
Yes.
I know we've got to wrap up, but I do want to say that Gary Radke has sent me some emails. It does look like he is making progress in negotiating with both his client, with Renaissance Academy, and the Michigan City Sanitary District. So it does look like things are leaning in the direction that over the next 30 to 60 days, there'll have to be some negotiations. But it looks like the end result may be, again, things can go south, but that may be that the Sanitary District of Michigan City takes that over and it's kind of off our plate and out of our hair. Of course, the devil is in the details in terms of maybe some type of transfer agreement where, maybe there's some indemnification provisions for the district, but it does look like things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I saw that email chain. That's a good thing. Thank you, Gary.
We've got one positive thing so far.
All right, I think that's concludes, looks like from my paperwork, that concludes our items on our agenda. So can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh, you got a question? Okay, and Marcella.
Hey, if I can, just really quick, because I know Tony's leaving us. This is it, right, Tony? You're not going to.
Yep, this is it. Yep.
Well, I would just personally like to thank you for your leadership and all your years of service. And thank you so much for, all the help and knowledge that you've provided any of us when we've needed it. So, and congrats and enjoy your retirement.
Oh, I will. Don't worry about it. I will. Head to Vegas after next week, so.
I'll kick in for some beer and cigars.
Yeah, bring me some beers and cigars, and then I'll be there for the Hudson Light in favor to hook up to the sewer.
Then when you come back from Vegas, you'll want your job back.
If you're paying for it, yeah. If you're giving a salary, yeah.
Tony, just like with Marcy, even though that, we've only, we've known each other for a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, we could not be this type of board unless we have the knowledge and the process that you do. So we truly appreciate everything that you've done. So
thank you. Yeah, I've been on for this board for, I think when it started back in Springfield, it was probably 17 years ago. Been on this board. So yeah, we've gone a long way. Rolling Prairie was a big taking from phase 1 to phase 2. So yeah, we're glad I know I'm glad. There's a lot of other guys that used to be on the board that are finally happy that it's seen it get through.
Gene Jonas, one of those.
Yeah, Gene was a big advocate about this. He's no longer with us, but he was all about it. That was his mission, man.
I got weekly phone calls for 2 years from Gene.
Yeah.
Regarding Rolling Prairie.
Rolling Prairie.
Many other things.
Yeah. There's a lot of septics out there, Tony, that are failing. I know, Gene. We'll get sewer out here. So, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Motion to
I have motion to adjourn. Do I have motion to adjourn?
Motion, make that motion.
All right. I got a second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, you guys have a great rest of your month.
Take care.
See ya.